Guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and in today's video, Bitcoin dumped. It has dropped quite a bit now, about $5,000 in the last 24 hours. A lot of you guys are kind of getting a little freaked out. You know, Bitcoin just dropped from $42,000 down here to around $38,500. We were pushing as high as $43 yesterday. In fact, we even saw a small short squeeze that propelled Bitcoin up. It tested resistance, and it rejected from that resistance. In this video, we're going to be talking about the reasons why Bitcoin just underwent a major dump. We have a lot of them. Then we're going to be looking at the technicals, the on-chain, and the market analysis to try and come to a conclusion about where Bitcoin is going next so that we can make the most out of this buying opportunity. I am joined, as always, by my illustrious co-host, T.A. Tim. How you doing, Tim?
Illustrious. That's,
illustrious.
Quite the intro.
Yeah.
I'm doing good, though. Had a good morning, and I'm very ready for the show today. I want to shout out everyone in chat who hates us. We love you. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're watching the show. It's been a fun ride. It's been a fun ride. And, you know, I love when we see diverse opinions in chat. I'm looking forward to it. I will say, I want to stay. We do not have any problem with people disagreeing with us. However, let's keep chat respectful today. Please, everybody. We still want this to build a community aspect that is not toxic and ridiculous. So,
absolutely,
just letting you guys know, we do not want to time out anybody or do anything like that, but let's keep chat respectful today. But that being said, feel free to disagree with us.
Boom sauce. Well, Kelly, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you doing?
Oh, well, I'm doing excellent. You know, we're getting a lot of craziness in the market right now, but it's these crazy times that you know, forges champions. So if you're still sticking here through the thick and the thin here with Bitcoin and the crypto market, I'm proud of you for one. And all I can say is, just like they say, HODL stands for hold on for dear life. And sometimes that's what the market makes you feel like you're doing. But I'll echo exactly what Tim said. Let's really try to make sure that we build the community of love and respect. Share your opinions if you have something that disagrees or if you're questioning a call that's made, but try to keep it positive. And if you would, we'd really appreciate it if you're new to the channel to hit the subscribe button, tick the little bell, and press the like button. Keep us floating here through the YouTube metaverse.
Yes, indeed. #1 technical analysis show on YouTube, Coffee and Crypto. We go live 9:30 Eastern every single weekday. We got so much to talk about, but I am joined by our wonderful technical director and producer, Smay. How you doing, Smay?
Did you forget?
I did not forget you.
Okay, all right.
Best for last.
All right.
last.
I just thought you, like, it sounded like you were about to move on, and then you just remembered.
No, I was just saying
it's all right.
subscribe to the
It's all
channel.
right. But I would like to take this opportunity right now because I am the winner of the trophy, guys.
That's
I am
hilarious.
the winner.
Good job, Smay.
Good job,
I'm
man.
gonna shout out
Congratulations.
every single one of our Jebb Grand Masters today, the names that are on the HODL trophy. But we had some new ones. We had some people who upgraded their membership, so I want to make sure I'm getting everybody. So I'm right here, pull up the page. Right here we have Tom Wilkes, Screwhead, Joshua Woodruff, Adam Rourke, Dennis Bizarka, Daniel Walton, Rick4962, Edward Hess, and Matt C. You guys are the illustrious Grand Masters, and we love you guys. And also, a little side note, guys, why Bitcoin? Episode 4. This one, I have to say, this one is my favorite episode.
Can we hear?
This one is my favorite episode.
Can we hear the name of it, or do we have to wait?
Yeah, I'll tell you the name
Okay,
of it.
what is
I'll
it?
tell you the name of it.
Why is
The
it?
name of it is why Bitcoin is actually good for the environment.
Hey,
And I tell you what, it is actually, like, this video is one that I connected to the most, and I really liked it. So this video is a great video.
Everybody, make sure to go ahead and tweet at Elon Musk why Bitcoin is good for the environment. Coming out, should be coming out at 6 p.m.
6
Eastern?
p.m.
6 p.m. Eastern. Guys, Why Bitcoin is the series that we produce that helps you to go and evangelize the good word of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency to all of your friends and family and community. So make sure to check out that playlist over on our YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and jump right now onto an article over on Cointelegraph called 3 Wildest Theories Explaining $500 Billion Cryptocurrency Market Crash. If you didn't know, Bitcoin dropped between $300 and $500 billion, depending on where exactly you measure it. And Cointelegraph proposes 3 major reasons for why that occurred. After we look at this, we're going to jump straight into our market pulse, take a look at the top 100, etc. U.S. inflation measures. The consumer inflation in the United States has hit record highs. In the upcoming FOMC, Federal Open Market Committee, meeting set for January 25th to the 26th is expected to announce new interest rates. Fed is expected to raise interest rates thrice this year. That is the first time I've heard that word used unironically in a while. That's a good word. thrice this year, with hikes going from 0.25% to as high as 1% by EOI end of year. Many market pundits believe the growing concern around inflation, added to the thing I can't say, led to a sell-off on Wall Street. And by the way, a sell-off did happen on Wall Street. If we look at the S&P 500, you will see that we've been dumping ever since about the 5th of January. If you're coming from the stock market, 7% is a massive correction coming into the stock market, into the stock world. Bitcoin has dumped, 12% in the last 24 hours, but that's just the way cryptocurrency works. Federal Reserve raising interest rates is a double-edged sword. One, it's a good thing because if the interest rates remain this low, it's going to allow inflation to continue running rampant, among other things. But the issue is, whenever you start to raise interest rates, you run into the issue of it paralyzing and scaring the economy because it's harder to get money because your loans cost more to pay back. If you don't understand the way that this works, I'll break it down briefly and then we're going to keep moving on. The Federal Reserve has something called the federal funds rate. All the central banks and all banks around the country take Federal Reserve dollars and they pay the interest to the Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve basically sets the baseline interest rate that every single other major lending institution in the country uses. So they all have to add 2 or 3% on top of that to make profit off of their interest rate. So the banks are actually just a middleman for getting money from the Federal Reserve. So whenever they raise interest rates, it actually raises interest rates across the board, makes it harder to get money for loans, and that typically in the Keynesian economic model that we live under right now causes a little bit of economic fear. It's a very good thing. We need interest rates to go up, but that doesn't mean the markets like it. On another concern, we also see Bitcoin's growing market correlation with Wall Street. A lot of people are talking about how Bitcoin is decoupled from Wall Street. That is simply not true, at least at this moment. We're going to be looking at a couple of tweets. In fact, I'll just show you one right now. Over the last 24 hours, you can see Kevin Svensson here has posted what the S&P, what the SPX and Bitcoin are doing together. This is about the last 24 hours, excuse me. They are running absolutely in parallel, perfectly in tandem right now. There is a lot of correlation coming in from the stock market that is leading, in my opinion, to this dump on Bitcoin. And then there's also this. Another theory that seems to have gained traction is a recent report from the Central Bank of Russia demanding a blanket ban on crypto mining and trading. We're not going to have time to go into this story today, but this is something that people are saying may have an impact on markets. And speaking of Russia, we don't go into politics on this channel, but everybody probably already knows about the situation on the Ukrainian border. That is not very helpful for the global markets. That has led to fear in the global markets. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is not a political channel. You can look that up on your own, but there is some, there are some things going on in Eastern Europe right now that are leading to the markets having a little bit of fear in them, and then we're also seeing that pour over into Bitcoin. At least that's what I believe is going on. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the actual markets themselves rather than just looking at reasons why they may have dropped, and we're going to continue doing that throughout this entire show, but I just want to show you where we are and where we may be going. Bitcoin is down 9.1% over the last 24 hours. Ethereum down 12% over the last 24 hours. Binance down 10%. Cardano down 13%. Solana down 15%. Everything has dropped quite significantly across the board. And if we look at the last 24 hours, it's actually really funny right now. You see USDC, Magic Internet Money, Frax, all of these cryptocurrencies are pretty much all stable coins of some kind. You have to go down to the 11th coin, Celsius Network, to find the first largest quote-unquote gainer that is not a stable coin, and it's down 3%. So literally the entire top 100 of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is down. It's funny. We're going to do a little bit of altcoin analysis here in a little bit, but the reason that it's funny is because the altcoins all say the exact same thing. They're all bottomed out on the Bollinger Bands. RSI is at a local low. You're seeing the MACD is probably bearish, or it's about to cross bearish, and it's probably at a low. The entire cryptocurrency market right now is running in tandem. So the simple fact is this market is in a drop. This market is dumping. That is not something that I am worried about. I want to make a point real quick, and then we're going to read a couple of super chats if we have any. Here's the deal, guys. Bitcoin dropping is not something that we should be scared of. Bitcoin dropping is something that we should actually be excited for. You might be thinking, Jebb, what in the world are you talking about? Why would I be excited that Bitcoin is dropping? Let me add something else to that. If you're angry about the fact that Bitcoin is dropping, or you're scared that Bitcoin is dropping, or you're heavily emotional that Bitcoin is dropping, first of all, I get it. I really do. I've been in the market for 5 years. I've witnessed some crazy drops in my time. But that's a good thing, too. And we're going to be breaking down exactly why as soon as this intermission is over. But let's go ahead and see what chat is talking about.
Well, we have one super chat from Tom Wilkes, who says,
Hey,
happy to
Tom.
support this channel and appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you so much, Tom. As far as chat, as we mentioned, you got a lot of different opinions. I've seen different price predictions thrown out, saying we're going down to 20,000, and someone here said 32,000. And this is definitely something we're going to talk about a little bit later on in the show with the options of what really could happen. Something I do want to point out, I cannot find where it is, but here's another question that we've been asking for a while, and I'm sure everyone in crypto is kind of getting to a point where they disagree, but they want to know what the answer to this question is. Jebb, what would you define a bear market versus a bull market?
Sure.
I saw an interesting opinion. I want to hear what you think about it.
Absolutely.
Someone said a bear market is when long-term hodlers start to sell. We're not seeing that, so therefore this is not a bear market. What are your thoughts about that take, and what are your thoughts about what you would define a bear market?
That's a very good point. I think it's a little bit more broad than that, but I think you're definitely in the right direction on that. My definition of a bull market and a bear market is a prolonged period of contraction or expansion. And what I mean by contraction or expansion is investors investors and liquidity, so investors and money coming in or out of the space. Over the last 2 years, basically, we have seen a continual pace of new investors, new money, new institutional developments coming into the space. That's not what you see during a bear market. You see money leave the space, hence why the price drops. Now, here's the thing that might trip people up. You might look at the total market capitalization. You say, it went to $3 trillion. Now we're under $2 trillion. We've lost $1 trillion in market capitalization, if not just a little bit more. That must mean we're in a bear market, right? Because money's flowing out. Not necessarily. All the money that flowed out of Bitcoin is either one, sitting in stablecoin, not all of it, but a lot of it's either sitting in one, stablecoins, two, it's sitting on the side in actual cash reserves, three, it is moved into other metaverse projects, and four, a lot of that market capitalization that we saw come into the cryptocurrency space a year ago never belonged there in the first place. It was hype, it was hopium, it was people trying to get rich quick off of stablecoins. So here's my point. A bull market is defined by a period of expansion of the retail base, of the institutional base, if there is one. In the history of Bitcoin, there hasn't always been an institutional base, but now there is. We'll look at that and the amount of volume and volatility and actual interest and, all these other metrics flowing into the space. All of these metrics are growing. That's why we are still bullish. That's why you still hear me say, guys, Bitcoin is not in a bear market. That's not me trying to tell you something that's not me trying to sugarcoat the truth for you. I've run this channel during a bear market back in 2018. I said the whole time, we're in a bear market. I said, okay, it might end soon, but it's in a bear market. I am not scared of that phrase. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to mislead you, because all of the on-chain, all of the metrics tell us that we are in a bull market. And here's another reason why. I was at the North American Bitcoin Conference Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week. There were 5,800 people there from the cryptocurrency community. Met hundreds of you guys, including Tom Wilkes, who just super chatted. Not one person there cared about the price. Not one person. I kid you not. I did not hear about the price one time. That is how I know we're not in a bear market, because if the bear market was going on, the people that are the industry execs would be talking about it, and they're not. They are as bullish as ever. This is a drop. This is healthy, and this is a time that you could be considering buying. Could it go lower? Absolutely, it could go lower. I'm not talking about a trade. I'm talking about if you're planning on buying and holding Bitcoin to $100, $200, $300, $400, $500,000, and you get in at $38,000 and it goes down to $34,000, are you really going to care when it goes to $500K? You're not going to. So that's my take.
Yeah. We have a couple more super chats that came in, but even that, I know like the stress right here that people are wrestling with, if you can look at this from a long time frame, there's nothing scary. But again, I think a lot of people are looking here on the hourly charts, the 4-hourly charts. They're trading constantly, and they're very concerned. Like, man, like I'm down. Like my trading portfolio is in the red. Like if someone did leverage trading, they might be very close to being liquidated. They might be if they entered a long position. I know that's where there's a lot of fear.
Yeah, there is.
The good thing to remember is calm down, breathe, zoom out, because you're in doubt right now. So I don't need to say if in doubt, zoom out. You're in doubt, zoom out and breathe, recollect, and then make your decision. And if you still think we're in a bearish market, sell. If you think we're in a bear market, sell. We want you guys to decide for yourself what you want to do. Don't just listen because Jebb still thinks we're in a bull market, or I still think we're in a bull market, or Kelly or anyone else in chat. Inform yourself on what you think and then make your decision. So the other super chats we have, we'll read through a couple of them and then we'll jump into more Bitcoin. And today's a heavy Bitcoin day, so lots of it. The guy's name is F. All right. F said they manipulated the price lower so Turkey can get in at a good entry point. I don't know. I mean,
I would need some evidence of that, but
Yeah.
maybe. I mean, you never know. There is manipulation. There is manipulation in the space. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying today's show, smash that like button. Thank you so much to the 3,000 people watching live. We come live at 9:30 Eastern every single day. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much.
Mike Markle said, who's one of our members, said, I'm stressed but blessed, and this feels like a good drop. I'm going to buy and stack. Thank you guys so much for sharing your outlook.
Yep. As Ryan Utterback just said, calm, breathe, and buy. That's exactly what I think we ought to do right now. If you're holding long term, again, I'm not trying to say buy for a trade. We're going to get into whether it's going to go up or down in the next 2 days in a second. But as far as investing, I think now's a good time.
You got a couple more here. Desert Crypto ETH said, don't trip by the dip and hit the like.
Don't trip
Let's
by
freaking
the
go.
dip. There we go. Exactly, guys. Don't trip by the dip. Kelly, I want to bring you in for just a second, then we're going to get moving. What are your thoughts, my friend, on the sentiment of investors right now? Should people really be just staying calm and buying, or are we going into a bear market? Like, what's your opinion of where we are right now?
Well, honestly, I think it's right in line with exactly what the entire premise of the Bitcoin space has been this last year, this last full bull cycle from having to now. The more and more, and we've said this before on the channel, the more and more we get larger institutional money and big money in the space, there is a bit more, I don't want to call it even manipulation, because I feel like that's such a selfish and I'm a victim sort of term. At the end of the day, and we've said this before, anytime we make a purchase or we make a sale ourselves, whether it's 0.01 Bitcoin or 100 Bitcoin, it doesn't matter your level, you're manipulating the market. And at the end of the day, everybody's in this market to make money on their investment or trade and make profits on their trades. So we need to get out of that victim mentality. And second, everybody says, oh yeah, there's a few, I don't want to name names, but there's a few people in chat every day. They're like, we've been in a bear market since November. Can't you see we're just in a bear market? Well, at the end of the day, when you're looking at macro trends and midterm cycles, there are interim bearish trends that happen on a macro, in a macro environment. And in all reality, when you're looking at a larger time frame, it's really just a pullback. And I really think what's happening right now, and I was speaking with Tim about this before the show, and we've said this before, the price gets whipped both directions. We're flushing out people, we're flushing out shorts. This last little run up that we had to 43K, everybody's so excited about. And in reality, there's no real cause for excitement until we get above the 52 level, because that's not even breaking out of this downward trend. That's just showing confidence in a trend reversal starting, basically a trend reversal going back into a midterm uptrend. But we're shorting out those, or we're squeezing out those shorts, and then everybody goes long. They squeeze those out, it goes down. So it's basically this whip back and forth, getting everybody to, and I think you'll pull it up here in a second, getting to that point where it's ultimate depression and fear and anger, to where everybody is unhappy. And when everybody gets unhappy, that's when we find the spring. And Smay called it beautifully the other day with the 38K level. Tim called it yesterday. My dad even texted me about it last night. He said Tim nailed it. We had the run up, and even with the run up, he was calling for the 38K. And if everybody that calls us bears, perma bulls, I don't think you're really listening to all the content that we're sharing on this channel. What we're really sharing is the fact that all the metrics are suggesting that the bullish sentiment or the bullish underlying factors are going to prevail, because at some point the dam's going to break, because when you have so much underlying bullish pressure, at some point it's going to push through and overwhelm any sort of selling pressure that's there. And if you go and check out on my Twitter, even I think 2 or 3 days ago, I also tweeted, I do think that, and I projected a date sometime around the 25th of January, that before we actually have the spring to go up, I do think we're going to touch the 38K level. And so we're saying all these things and we're relaying all these things, but although there are some bearish targets and some bearish action that's happening, it's right in line with everything that needs to happen to fully get that healthy bullish trend reversal.
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and jump now onto the actual Bitcoin TA. I know you guys are dying to see what Bitcoin is doing, so let's go ahead and do just that. We're going to start out here on the BLX, Brave New Coin Liquid Index for Bitcoin, and we're going to take a look at the last 12 years together, my friend. Shall we do it? Let's do it. In the last 12 years, On the log chart, we're not on the linear chart because it wouldn't work, but on the log chart, there is a line that has been in play ever since the very beginning. Let's go ahead and look at this line, this trend line. This trend line roughly goes all the way back to about May and June of 2011. Then we scrub it forward and we find that this line was acting as support here and resistance here. We look even farther forward, and during this time in October and January of 2015, we used it as support. We even tested it and used it a little bit as resistance. Moving even farther forward, up here in 2017, we use this line as support. Moving farther forward, resistance, resistance. This line just continues finding use. And as we see more recently, we have seen this line be used as support and resistance again. The thing I want you to know about this line is that the market spends time above it and the market spends time below it. And there's actually not really any correlation between whether it's above it and below it or in a bear market. For example, during this time, we spent most of the time we were below this line, we were actually in a bull market. And a lot of the time that we were below the line over here, we were actually in a bull market also. When we were in the bear markets, as you can see right here, we were actually above this line. So I'm not drawing a correlation between bull market, bear market, as far as being everything down here is bear and everything up there is bull. That's not really the case, but this trend line is pretty interesting. And it does go back throughout the entire history of Bitcoin. And if you look at the last day, you can see what happened. Bitcoin is currently in the process, depending on how you draw it, of breaking bearish below this line. Now, does that mean that Bitcoin's about to undergo some massive drop? No, it absolutely does not. That's not what this is getting at. What I am saying is that if you're wondering why Bitcoin just had a major correction, I would posit that it had something to do with everything we just talked about, federal interest rates, Russian central bank proposal, also the other things going on in Russia right now with Ukraine, and then also the correlation with Wall Street. But at the same time, one of the things that may have exacerbated this drop would be the fact that we dropped below this uptrending level of support. Just something I want to show you. That trend line is actually very, very powerful. If we do drop below it, we'll probably stay below it for a little bit and then come back to the upside. I also think that there are some other major levels of support that we're looking at right now. One of them, for example, is $37,269. And you might be wondering, Jebb, where does that number come from? Well, we're looking for support right now, and the first level of support that jumps out at me here is this local low that we set back on August the 5th. This low back here constitutes one of the biggest, most important levels of support that we have. And in fact, it actually lines up quite nicely with the 0.786% Fibonacci retracement. You can see it sits right here. So that is where I think Bitcoin is going to take its next stop if it needs to go any lower. Now, it might bottom out here around $38,000, but if it needs to go any lower, this blue line right here is the line to be looking at. As you can see, we have seen Bitcoin play out support and resistance on Fibonacci many different times using resistance here. It wasn't even set yet, but then we used resistance here. We found support down here briefly around the 0.65 level. That's the Fibonacci golden pocket there. And the next one at 0.786 could be our next major level of support. Now, let's also go ahead and take a look at here at some of our oscillators, because there's something very interesting on the daily chart. If we look at daily chart RSI, we can see that Bitcoin's RSI has dropped all the way down to 26. That's significant because if you look at the last couple of years on Bitcoin, just by the way, I'll go ahead and draw a vertical line, January 1st of 2020, so this is about 2 years ago. Everything in here is about 2 years of price data. You can see it showing up on the market right there. Looking at the last 2 years and 3 weeks of data on Bitcoin, we have only seen Bitcoin drop this low on RSI twice. We saw it happen May 18th, and we also saw it happen during the news virus dump. Drop a 1 in chat if you get that reference from the early days of the channel. Whenever we see the market do this, let's go ahead and just draw a vertical line here, because I want to assuage some of those fears, because I know a lot of people are very scared right now, and I get that. I really do. I've been in the market for almost 5 years. I have seen some major drops. I was here during the March 2020 drop, and I'll tell you, I was scared. I was like, okay, well, I know it's going to bounce and rally because the fundamentals are growing, but this kind of sucks. I remember that drop of 7 in chat. If you remember Bitcoin dropping during March 2020, I totally understand the fear. I really, really, really do. Anyway, though, let's go ahead and take a look at what these bottoms on RSI did. Looking here, RSI dropped down to 17. We're currently sitting at 25 today, but back then we dropped down to 17. That was the absolute bottom, and we would see Bitcoin go on to rally 143% in 55 days. Do I think that's going to happen here? Not necessarily. I do think we're going to see something more akin to this drop, but that's the point I want to make, is that we may see more rallies coming. We may see we may have just seen a local bottom on the price action of Bitcoin. Now, the next time we saw the drop here, that was the day that Bitcoin capitulated. Now, we're going to actually talk about this chart over here and this word capitulation a little bit more in a second. So hold on to that word capitulation. We're going to talk about that. But this was a capitulation event right here. And then during this time, between June and July, everybody got very angry in 2021. Well, guess what? When the bottom came in, I'll go ahead and move this line so you can see it. Bitcoin dropped down to $29,720. The absolute bottom would be $29,500. So even though this sideways movement went on for another 2 months here, we actually more or less bottomed at the very beginning of the drop back on May 19th, May 18th or so, and Bitcoin would not go any lower. The point I'm making here is that at some point in the next couple of days, it might not be today, it might be tomorrow, it might not be at exactly 38,000, it might be at 37,000 or 36, wherever it is, a bottom is close. And the reason that we believe that is because the RSI does not stay below 30 for very long. Let's just take a look at the history of the RSI. How often does RSI sit below 30? This is the longest period I can see that RSI sat below 30. It was down there for 30 days. If we look at the last 6 years of Bitcoin, excluding the outlier of the end of the bear market, the longest we have ever seen Bitcoin stay below 30 on the RSI is roughly a week and some change. We are not going to stay below 30 for more than a week, in my opinion. Tim, I want your opinion on what the RSI is telling us right now.
Well, it's not done moving.
Agreed.
It could be, meaning it could decide this is the bottom. But until we see, like, I need to see today's daily candle close. But we are clearly sitting in bullish RSI divergence. We're also sitting in MACD bullish RSI divergence. Well, it wouldn't be MACD bullish RSI. MACD bullish divergence. I need to see things finish. However, I'm sitting here just thinking, just trying to really rationalize and reason through people. There are people who hate technical analysis, because ultimately that's what we're doing right now. We're looking at technical analysis. We're using it to read the market. Technical analysis says that Bitcoin should rally. Is it the end-all, be-all? No, you have to use it with other things. On-chain metrics say that Bitcoin should rally. The news, in terms of manipulation happening, says that Bitcoin should rally.
I'd say long-term news says it should rally. I can see why it dropped on the news front in the last couple of days.
Like right now,
because there is FUD in the market.
This is my thought right here that I have. The last time we came down and the whales manipulated and said it's time to rally was right at that 30,000. Technically, we dipped to 29, but in all reality, it was a very quick dip below 30,000 and then rallied. I think there's a chance, and I've said this before, that we could come all the way down to 31 in a very steep, very quick, very painful move to the downside that operates like a trampoline. The harder you come down, the more explosive you'll rally to the top. And that's what we're kind of working with right here. But this is the whole point, is that technicals scream rally. Whether it's today or tomorrow or a month from now, the technicals say that we are still setting up. We would have to do a lot to cancel out all the bullish technicals. The on-chain metrics, we would have to do a lot to cancel out all the bullish on-chain metrics. The concept of manipulation. I was talking with Smay about this on the way to the car, and I want at some point us to talk with Smay. He won the HODL trophy, so maybe he knows something we don't know. But I was telling him, we cannot ignore the details, like we had a whale buy $2 billion worth of Bitcoin at $46,000. Now, did they do that to kind of almost continue their manipulation, say, oh, we're buying right here, it's good. We had another, what was it, 40,000 Bitcoin bought yesterday. They can bleed longer than the average retail investor. They can deal with the pain a little bit longer.
That's so accurate.
They can bleed a little longer than the average retail investor. But at the end of the day, they are still bleeding. Do you think that the person who just bought $2 billion worth at 46,000, or whoever just bought 40,000 Bitcoin right at about 40,000, do you think that they want that price going all the way to 20,000? No, they do not. They want it to rally. And so this is exactly what we talked about yesterday, this depression phase, all hope is gone. That's what happened yesterday. We had that quick rally with a spark of hope. Guys, we hit the bottom. We're rallying back up. No, we're not. We crashed. And now there's almost this depression. And it's probably actually a good thing for the long run that people are almost in this boat of like saying, I don't want to listen to anyone anymore. I don't care what you say. We're not going up. This is a bear market. We're going to the downside, blah, 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 blah. That is exactly what those whales who are in pain right now, having bought in at 46 and at 42, are saying, we're waiting for that sentiment to set in. We're waiting for the hope to die. And when that hope dies, that's when we pounce and we rally the upside. So whether we go all the way down to 30,000 and go extremely, not only retailers in pain, but the whales are in pain, or whether we bounce now, I think the bounce is coming. And I think the RSI, like I said, we would have to drop below 30 for the bullish metrics I'm seeing on the RSI and everything else to cancel out and turn bearish.
You guys know what I'm doing right now with my portfolio? Because a lot of people are wondering or speculating about what I'm feeling right now. Would you like to know what I feel? I feel that I wish I had more cash reserves on the side so I could buy the freaking dip. I already have so much of my net worth in Bitcoin. I have like 50% of my net worth in Bitcoin, let alone crypto. I wish I had more cash on the side. Everybody's like, I bet Jebb's scared, or I bet Jebb's this, or I bet Jebb's that. No, I want to buy more, dude. Guys, I need you to understand this. This is so important. Look, this just makes me so excited. The hair on my neck just stood up. Whenever Bitcoin drops, I don't get freaked out. Look, 70% of people that are in cryptocurrency got in the last 12 months. That means 70% of the people watching the show have probably been in the last 12 months. Take it from somebody who's been here for 4.5 years, since July of 2017. I have witnessed drops. I watched Bitcoin drop 50% in a day. A day. And yeah, was I scared? I absolutely was. You know what I also did? I bought the dip. I bought Ethereum down at $140. I bought Bitcoin at $4,500 because I was scared, but I also know the fact of the matter is when the fundamentals grow, the price will follow, and it might take a matter of years, but if you're willing to wait, if you're willing to be patient, if you're willing to have the right entrepreneurial mindset, the right investor's mindset, it is a formula. It is a mathematical equation you can become a millionaire in cryptocurrency. It is a simple fact that you can achieve financial sovereignty and that you can use that to live a purpose-driven life. It is not a matter of luck. It is not a matter of picking the right altcoin. It is a matter of buying the dips, holding, and not freaking out when everybody else is. Warren Buffett says, buy the blood on the streets, even if it's your own blood. And we're all bleeding right now. All of our portfolios are down. Believe me, mine's down a lot right now. I'm not looking at it because I don't want to look at it and say, oh, I'm down X, Y, Z amount and say, oh, that's kind of scary. The best thing I would encourage you to do in this situation, don't even look at your portfolio unless you actually are in a swing trade or something. I'm talking about your investing portfolio. Don't even look at your investing portfolio. And then if you have cash reserves on the side that you've been sitting on to buy the dip, do it. You know when most of the billionaires in the last 15 years have been made? They've been made right here. Let me just show you exactly where most of the billionaires of the last couple of decades have been made. Right here. Excuse me, not right there. Let's go back out a little bit to 2018. Most of the billionaires around right now were made right here. When the traditional markets, the stock markets, dropped 55%. You think 50% in crypto is scary. Try 50% in the stock markets. People will lose their freaking mind. And by the way, we saw a double top in the stock market. Then we saw the market go and set a lower low. This had everybody back in the 2000s thinking the entire global economy was going to collapse and we were going to go into a massive bear market. Does that sound familiar? I think it does. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. We have a double top right here. We're not even setting a lower low, and everybody's already thinking, oh, we're going to go into a bear market. But what they don't understand is that the fundamentals drive the price. The price doesn't drive the fundamentals. So here's my point. My point is, when the market crashes like this, billionaires are made. They buy cheap real estate. They buy cheap stocks. They buy cheap, companies. They buy cheap everything. And you know how they were able to do that? Because they got $100 million sitting on the side. You might not have $100 million, but I bet you got $100. I bet you got $10. I bet you got $500 that you can use to make the most out of it. Come back in 3 years, watch it double because you invested in a project that's changing the way that humans do finance, and that project is called Bitcoin. Smay, I would love to hear your thoughts, Mr. Hodl Trophy winner. What do you think right now?
Well, first of all, I want to say this. If you're a trader right now and you're really, really down on your trade and that, that's scaring you, hey, that's a part of trading. It sucks. And that's just part of it, right? I will say this though. If you're scared because your investment portfolio is so down right now and you're cringing, everything Jebb just said is going in one ear out the other and you're just, oh, this is terrifying. Then you probably invested too much.
Yeah.
You invested your rent. You invested your car payment. You know, don't do that. How many times do people have to tell you, do not do that? Okay, that is a huge part of it. Of how, Jebb, did you invest too much?
No.
Okay, are you scared?
Nope.
Okay, so that's an important thing to think about, right? First and foremost, right? I can still pay my bills, all right?
Nope.
I can still pay my bills, so we're
I
good.
can pay my bills.
Guys, here's the deal, right? Ultimately, we went down to 38. We were at 43, right? If you bought in at 69, you're still probably not happy. You weren't happy when we were at 43, right? None of this price movement right now is anything I'm scared of, because ultimately it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a trader, right, this is where you have to be strategic. You have to know what you're doing. Because like I jumped into a dot trade that went horribly wrong, and
Well, I want to correct you real quick.
Yes.
When you say went horribly wrong, did you lose money?
No, I haven't sold yet. I haven't sold yet.
Okay, so did it go horribly wrong?
No, it didn't. Yeah. But I was speaking the lingo. The lingo. Because the thing is, it's down, but I didn't sell it yet. Because the thing is, sometimes, guess what? You don't have to, unless you're, obviously doing stuff. Really, the only times you really get scared is when you're doing stuff you really shouldn't be doing in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Oh, did you over leverage your trades? Are you trading with money you don't have? When you start dealing with those kind of issues, then reevaluate what you're doing in the first place. Because if you can't just let a trade ride, if you can't just let your investment portfolio ride, then you need to reevaluate what you're doing wrong in the first place. Because guys, here's the deal: how many times have we been right here? And this is not even bad. We're at around 38.
That was all-time high a year ago.
We're not even down that bad. Like, we're literally down. We're not down that bad.
We're not down bad.
We're not down bad. But how many times we've been worse off than this? And how many times do the Bears have to be proven wrong? Guys, seriously. And I get it. There is difference in looking at the short term, looking at the long term, and I understand that. But I'm saying overall, how many times do the Bears have to be proven wrong before you guys stop getting scared, right? So understand that ultimately what you need to do in moments like this is reevaluate why you're scared. Did you overinvest? Did you, so on. And then make those changes that you need to do for the next time.
Throughout pretty much all, and Kelly, I want you to be able to speak, but pretty much throughout all of Bitcoin's history, anyone who invested 3 years ago, basically at any point in Bitcoin's history, is in profit. Think about that. If you held for 3 years and you bought at literally just about any point, even if you bought, I think this might be the only example where this doesn't apply, but even if you bought at $20,000 on December 18th, 2017, about 3 years later, you were breaking even because Bitcoin was back at $20,000. If you hold for 3 years, I don't really care where you buy, you're going to be in profit. It's basically a guarantee. Nothing's a guarantee, but it's about as close as you can get. Kelly, what's up?
I just wanted to say, echoing what Smay said, at the end of the day, when we're so zoomed in on the daily chart or the 4 hour or the 1 minute or whatever ridiculous metric you're looking at, not looking at the macro setup of, chart of Bitcoin, then when you zoom out, you realize that any dip along the way is literally just like looking at any product, whether you're at a store or anywhere, any asset in history. It's essentially, it's on sale. So at the end of the day, the stock to flow, the supply to flow ratio is going down over time. There's more people coming into the market. So at the end of the day, anytime that there is a dip, unless you bought, just above that or, wherever that dip is, just as you just said, all you've got to do is hold. You don't get wrecked until you sell in the red. So you can only say you're wrecked if you're selling at a loss. And at the end of the day, Bitcoin's not something or anything you're going to invest in or trade. You shouldn't sell at a loss, especially when the metrics in terms of the overarching setup of especially this asset class in Bitcoin, it's up and to the right for basically the majority of the rest of history. So there's no real reason to be worried right now, except for needing something immediately and not just being a little bit patient, because the more patience you have, the more profits you're going to have.
One final thing on that, and then we're going to talk about some of the short-term technicals, because I know you guys are wondering where we're going, but I wanted to lay a foundation of long-term perspective before we got to the short-term technicals, because there are obviously bearish components here. 136 days ago, I believe it was September the 7th, 7th. El Salvador launched the Shivo wallet in collaboration with Netkey, which I actually got to interview the creator of Netkey. That is the company that provided fraud and onboarding services for the entire nation of El Salvador. Got to interview him. You guys will be seeing that interview in a little bit. Interviewed him at the North American Bitcoin Conference. That happened about 6 months ago. 6 months ago, a sovereign nation of 4 million people adopted Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is down 27% from the price when that happened. Could Bitcoin potentially be undervalued right now? Could Bitcoin potentially be in a good buying opportunity? Well, historically speaking, if Bitcoin follows through with what it's done historically, looking at RSI, looking at stock to flow, looking at stochastics, looking at Bollinger Bands, looking at on-chain metrics, looking at retail inflows, looking at retail and investor inflows and outflows, looking at all these different metrics, it is a categorical yes. Now is a great buying opportunity for the investor. I need to make sure I'm clear on that because I have been saying for a long time that it's a good time to buy. I've been saying that for 4.5 years, actually, because if you go 3 years, you're going to be in profit. That's the history of Bitcoin. Is now a good time to buy if you're a trader and you're going to be in for 12 hours or 3 days or a month? Maybe not. We're going to talk about that. If you're an investor, as I am, anytime is a good time to buy Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and look at the daily chart here and do a little bit of technical analysis. As you can see, there has been some bearish volume coming into play over the last few days. Bitcoin has dropped, as you already know. If we look down here on the hourly chart, let's do a little bit of analysis on how exactly this took place. Yesterday, we saw Bitcoin actually going through something called a short squeeze. If we come down here to the 4-hourly over on coinglass.com/liquidation data, we can see that about $69 million, nice worth of shorts, got liquidated yesterday, and that caused a small bump in the price, or it actually correlated with a small bump in the price, about $1,500. From there, Bitcoin rejected from the trend line that we showed you right here. We showed this trend line on stream yesterday. Bitcoin rejected from it, started to push to the downside, and then what happened? I'll tell you exactly what happened. A lot of people went long because they saw, oh, okay, the shorts are opening. Or excuse me, the shorts are getting liquidated. That means we must be going into a rally. Bitcoin is moving to the upside. We saw a buy signal on Lux Algo and all these things. So a lot of people went into a long position on a bunch of leverage. A lot of people went into long positions on 10x, 25x, 100x, so that they had a 1%, 4%, 10% liquidation price. And then guess what happened? When they went into the long trade too early, the market dropped, and we saw in the span of 4 hours, $200 million liquidated, $353 million liquidated. Then we also saw $158 million liquidated. We saw in total yesterday a little over $500 million in longs getting liquidated. And the reason those longs were there in the first place was because people went long too early. So the takeaway from this, guys, is that if you're a trader, be very prudent in the trades that you make, because this was too early to go into a long position. Even in yesterday's video, what we talked about was, yes, Bitcoin looks bullish, but we need to see more confirmation. I talked about how I want to see Bitcoin go into an uptrend for like 7 days. I want to see Bitcoin be in a strong confirmed uptrend for a while, build some actual uptrending movement, because at the end of the day, we hadn't even broken our local high at $44,000. We were only rallied to 43.4. So when we enter longs in positions like this, what ends up happening is that if the market drops, we get liquidated because we didn't wait for confirmation. Don't try and buy the exact bottom like right here. Buy like right here. And yeah, you're going to miss out on some of your gains, but at the end of the day, you're going to actually have a much better time in this market because you're not going to get liquidated. And by the way, another tip is that if you don't have a winning track record of a couple hundred trades at least, I would actually say over 1,000 trades, it's a bad idea to be using leverage. Kelly can tell you all about that. I will let him tell that story another time. He's told it many times on stream. Now, I also want to show you another chart over here. Wall Street cheat sheet. That's a very fun word to say. Wall Street cheat sheet. I like that. Psychology of a market cycle. I'm sure you've seen this chart before, but you might not know what it means. There are a number of different things in the market sentiment, a number of different feelings in the market sentiment, and they go about like this. Whenever the market is in a major rally, we see people start to feel hope. Okay. No, actually, they start by saying, oh, I can't believe this. There's no way this rally is going to succeed. This rally is it's a bull trap. It's going to rally a little bit, and then it's going to dump. And then you see hope. A recovery is possible. Okay, maybe we are going to go to the upside. That's what you see happen there. Then optimism. This rally is real. Then we see belief. Time to get fully invested, which notice how the time that everybody says, let's get fully invested, you're already over half of the way up. That's why we need to shift ourselves from like right here over just a little bit, buy a little earlier, sell a little earlier, and not get caught buying green and selling red. Thrill, euphoria, that's what you see at the top. That's the blow-off top area. We saw that at $69,000. Then we get into complacency. We just need to cool off for the next rally. People say, okay, Bitcoin just needs to chill a little bit and we'll be fine. Then we see anxiety. Where was the anxiety? A lot of people were anxious back over here during this time because they're worried that this was going to happen. And it did. That's kind of the way it goes. Now, looking at this, then we see denial. My investments are in great companies. They will come back. This is a fact, and denial isn't necessarily saying that your investments will come back is not necessarily a bad thing. They will, but that doesn't mean the drop is over. Then we see panic. Oh crap, everybody is selling. I need to get out. Why would you get out down here? This is what everybody wants to do. Everybody, let me just show you the weekly chart. Weekly chart has all the answers for literally. If you need an answer in Bitcoin, go to the weekly chart, zoom out, boom, up and to the right. That's the entire history of crypto, just to be clear. Excuse me, not of crypto, of Bitcoin anyway. Whenever people want to sell, a lot of times they want to sell down here, they want to sell right here, they want to sell right here, and they want to sell right here. And then a lot of people, they want to buy right here, and they want to buy right here, and they want to buy right here, and they want to buy right here. You know what happens when you buy up here and you sell down there? You lose 73%. You know what happens when you buy up here and you sell down here? You lose 79%. You know what happens when you buy up there and you sell down there? You lose 58%. You know what happens when you buy up here and you sell down there? You lose 55%. I propose a different solution that literally every single investor in the history of mankind has used to make money. Instead of selling down here, just flip it. Just buy down here. And instead of buying up here, sell up here. You may have had a good reason to sell up here or up here. That's not my personal strategy, but there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with swing trading these big movements. Just be careful about where you're buying and selling. But my final point with this is anger. Who shorted the market? Why did the government allow this to happen? What are the whales doing? Oh my gosh, somebody's manipulating the market. Somebody's trying to get us out. I'm going to blame this guy, and I'm going to blame this guy, and I'm going to blame this guy because I'm mad. What's the market sentiment right now? Look at chat. Look at Twitter. Look at the news. Everybody's angry. I posted on my Twitter earlier today. I literally posted this, and I just said, angry? Are you? Don't get me wrong. I get it. I've been angry at these drops before. I remember vividly back in 2018 when Bitcoin was bottoming out here at $6,000 and Bitcoin dropped like a stone right here, and I was running the channel and I wanted to be successful in crypto, and then crypto drops 50% in 3 weeks. I was mad. I was angry. Anger phase happens right here. Anger phase happens right here. Anger phase happens right here because we're like, dang it, why is this rally not over yet? And then boom, it rallies. And then boom, it rallies. And then boom, it rallies. So I ask you a question. Are you angry right now? Because this Wall Street chart right here applies just as much, probably even more to crypto than it does to Wall Street. The market is not dead, guys. Bitcoin's fundamentals are stronger than ever. And I will pound this into your head for as long as you will hear me. The fundamentals are upstream. Say it with me at home. The fundamentals are upstream of the price. The fundamentals drive the price, not the other way around. The price does not dictate the fundamentals. If the price goes down, do all the companies go bankrupt tomorrow? No, that's not at all how that happens. If Bitcoin's price goes down $3,000, does everybody stop developing Bitcoin? No, that's not at all how it happens. They continue developing nevertheless. As I said, I was at the North American Bitcoin Conference with 5,800 industry professionals. And by the way, the tickets were almost $1,000. So you have smart money that was attending that. Not one of them, I'm not even kidding, myself and our team talked to probably 600 people. I didn't even get asked about the price. I didn't even get asked. So you have a lot of people in a room that are industry professionals, that are executives, that are high net worth investors and influencers, and all these people that have been in the market for a multitude of years. Not one of them talked about the price. I'm not even joking. I am dead serious. Not one of them cared. And the reason is because the price is downstream from fundamentals, and the fundamentals are continuing to grow. Heard a lot about the fundamentals, and guess what? Everything we heard about the fundamentals was remarkably bullish. So let's go ahead and take a look at the actual daily chart, though, because I know you're wondering, Jebb, where is the market going next? I get it. I understand. Bitcoin's going to rally. I understand mindset. I understand when in doubt, zoom out. I get it. Don't lecture me, Jebb. I understand. But where's Bitcoin going? Well, Bitcoin was in a bear pennant. And that bear pennant did have a price target, if we just go ahead and extrapolate right here, of about $35,000. Could Bitcoin go to $35,000? Absolutely. I think the next major level of support that we're going to see, as I talked about earlier, will be the 0.786% level, sitting right here around 37,000 and a half. That level is where Bitcoin is probably going to go to next, and that actually lines up pretty well with the VPVR. If we take a look at VPVR here, we can see that there is quite a significant amount of support, especially when you start getting down into the $33,000 region, so I'm also going to draw a horizontal line at 33. You may see how I'm drawing my support levels. I go in, I find something that substantiates these support levels. This top one right here is substantiated by this bottom right here, these tops over here, and also by the 0.786% retracement level. And then we also have one right down here around $33,000. So I would say that the bottom for Bitcoin is probably going to be somewhere in between that zone. In fact, if we zoom in, the point of control is sitting right here at $32,739. So we'll go ahead and draw a horizontal line right there. I do think that we're going to find our support in there. But let's also go ahead and take a look at some other technicals. Right now, we can see that there is a bearish MACD cross coming into Bitcoin. Is that something to be worried about? I would say no. The reason is because until we start to see lower lows on the MACD, we're seeing higher lows on them. We're actually seeing bullish MACD divergence, which in history shows us that the market is about to go into an uptrend. You can see my examples right here. Downtrend, 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 uptrend, 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 market crash, market crash, market crash, market dump, maybe I should say. I don't want to spread FUD, especially of historical markets, but uptrend right here, downtrend right there, that's bullish. MACD divergence went into a major uptrend. So the MACD divergence right now on Bitcoin is actually very, very important. Let's also take a look down here at Market Cipher. Market Cipher is telling us some things that are pretty interesting. We can see that the money flow is quite red. We can see that the VWAP is red. We can see that the RSIs are red. The thing I want to point out here on these metrics is that if we look at the history of Market Cipher, it has actually been a very long time since we have seen Market Cipher drop this low on the RSIs. Let me just go ahead and turn off a lot of these different parts here, and I will show you the RSIs alone. The RSIs are these two lines right here on Market Cipher. On Market Cipher B, you have to go all the way back to July, which was the very bottom of the Bitcoin market. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and delete my chart here, and I will draw some vertical lines. Horizontal line right here at our local bottom. If we look at the last couple of times that we dropped this low on Market Cipher's RSIs, let's take a look at all of these. There are a few of them. What was the market doing at the time? Market was pretty much bottoming, about to go into an uptrend. Market was bottoming, going into an uptrend. A little bit of an uptrend happened there. We also saw it happen right here, went into an uptrend. So the RSIs on Market Cipher are telling us that a low is probably either very close or is in. Now, if we go ahead and turn on the rest of Market Cipher again, we can look at other parts of it. For example, we can look here at the money flow. The money flow is red right now. If we just go ahead and look at the history of this red dotted line goes all the way back to December of 2018. This is the lowest money flow has been ever since December of 2018 and a brief stint in 2017. When that occurred, we saw a major rally. So the point here is that all of the technical indicators that we're looking at are saying that we are overextended to the downside. Bitcoin gets overextended to the downside all the time. Whenever that happens, it's not a bad thing. It's actually meaning that it's a buying opportunity. In fact, if you were to look at the Fear and Greed Index, which I may bring up here in a little bit, every time you get down into this zone of 10 to 20, which is where it is right now, it's a good time to buy. Tim, I want to ask your opinion on this. Do you think that we're massively overextended to the downside? Is that what you're reading from the technicals? And if so, what should we do with that information?
Well, so the question is, I'm going to correct the question. It doesn't matter what I think ultimately. And I know that's funny because I always say, well, I think it doesn't matter what I think. I'm not the composite man. I am not a whale. When we talked about earlier, I think Kelly said something about trading with 100 Bitcoin. I don't know if I'll ever have 100 Bitcoin.
Yeah,
not get close to that. So it doesn't matter what I think. The TA thinks we're overextended.
Yep.
The on-chain metrics think we're overextended. I know a lot of bears don't think we're overextended, but there's a lot of max pain. And the fact that people are sitting here feeling nauseous, feeling like they're going to be sick because of the price of Bitcoin says that we're oversold and overextended. So again, everyone needs to look at these charts and decide for themselves. If you think there's more room to go down, okay, that's fine. Plan on it. Operate that way. But that's not what the charts say. So it's just very clear, like, hey, like, is sentiment still going that way? Or are the charts actually going to start being real? Are the charts going to start flowing? And I want to just be real for a second and say, I get the frustration. If you guys don't think that we get frustrated when the TA says one thing and the price continues to do another thing, that is frustrating. TA is not perfect. I don't think anywhere in any history have I heard any technical analyst say that technical analysis is 100% perfect every single time. In the same way, if you know how to count cards when you're playing blackjack in Vegas, you don't know every single card that's about to be flipped. But the better you are at it, the better the probability you see, the more games you'll win. In the same way, technical analysis is not perfect, but it gives you a higher probability of calling bottoms and tops. And so that's why I continue to follow it. So it doesn't matter what I think. The TA does think, though, we are overextended on almost every single metric.
So here's my opinion, guys. I think, and I'll just kind of wrap this up into a bow, and then we're going to go on to some on-chain metrics. I think right now, Bitcoin's local bottom is going to be somewhere in between, and I'm not saying this is the absolute bottom. To be honest with you, we could go all the way back down to $30,000 with where we are right now. I know that's scary. It wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. It would actually mean that we would have a great buying opportunity. I think the local bottom for Bitcoin is going to be somewhere between $33,000 and $37,000. There are a multitude of different places it could happen. I do think that it's going to happen at some point in there. Now, there is, for example, a downtrend right here. Actually, it's on the linear chart. I'll have to show you guys that a little bit later. But there are a bunch of different levels of support sitting in here between $33,000 and $37,000. I do think that we're going to have a little bit of a bounce, and we're probably going to have a local bottom here. As far as whether Bitcoin's going to go into an uptrend from there, or if Bitcoin's going to have a local bottom and then bounce down to $30,000, that's yet to be determined. We don't really have enough information to make that judgment. But I do think what we're going to see happen is a small bounce over the next couple of days, and I actually do think we're going to drop down here into the mid-30s, around 35 or so. Would you agree with that, Tim?
Say your bottom number one more time.
I think that we're going to see a local bottom, not necessarily the major overarching downtrend bottom, but the local bottom in between $33,000 and $37,000. I think we're going to have a small bounce right now, and then another drop, because I do think that there's enough volume in the market. I think a lot of people haven't been shaken out yet. That's what we're going to see happen.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
I always have to warm up my voice for some reason every time I get on the camera. But guys, listen. I hope it goes to 30,000. You know why?
Me too.
You know why? And I'm making a little stink face at you guys. I hope we go down to 30,000. You know why? You know why? Because also, like, I know there's a lot of people in chat saying, guys, this is a bear market. And say it is. Let's just, for argument in. I'm happy about that. You know why I'm happy about that? Because I didn't invest too much, which means I'm going to have some cash on the side, which means I'm going to buy this dip. And it's like getting in a time machine. So instead of saying, oh, man, I wish I bought in at 30,000, now I actually have an opportunity to do it.
Absolutely.
So how exciting is that? So, you know, like, ultimately, I love it because people think that it's getting at us to say, no, you guys are wrong. This is a bear market. It's all over. It's like, say it is a bear market. Who cares? We're going to go, heck, we go all the way down to, you know, wherever number. It's like getting in a time machine. I can buy up again because we know, guess what didn't change? The one thing that didn't change, the candlesticks changed. You know, those went up and down. You know, the lines changed. The technical analysis changed. But, you know, what didn't change was exactly what Jebb was saying. The fundamentals. Nothing about Bitcoin
Actually, the fundamentals did change. They are getting better every day. That's the change.
Well, and if anything, then there you go. You know what I mean? So then it's like, okay, so say whatever the candlesticks are doing, you know, that's just what people are, you know, it's just people being silly, you know? Whatever happens, you know, eventually, though, we know because of the fact that the fundamentals are just growing that, hey, we're just getting in a time machine. I'm gonna buy at all these little levels. It's gonna be really great, and I'm gonna, you know, just like Warren Buffett says, I'm gonna buy this dip because everyone's bleeding, and it might be my blood too. But I'm buying it, and I'm excited about it.
Somebody just said in chat, and I think this is really funny. Then we're going to throw it to Kelly, and we're going to look at some on-chain and market headlines. Somebody said all the people that YOLO'd in the 60,000s are just getting wrecked. That's what's happening. And, you know, it's sad, but that actually is what's going on. A lot of people did buy at the top, and the reason is, guys, and look, I've bought plenty of tops, so I'm not, you know, attacking anybody or making fun of anybody. What happened is a lot of people got into cryptocurrency in the last year. 70% of the people in America that are in crypto right now got in the last 12 months during the year of 2021. Many of those people are new to the markets and they don't understand the ideas of buy low, sell high. They don't understand the ideas of buy when we're overextended to the downside, sell when we're overextended to the upside. So they just buy. They see the market's going up and they say, oh, it's going up. It must go up forever. I'm just going to buy. That's the way the stock market works, right? It just goes like that. It doesn't have corrections very often. And if it does, you know, the whole news media freaks out and, you know, everything goes crazy for 6 months and, you know, the sky's falling. A lot of people that are selling right now or that are getting liquidated right now are new money to the space. New money don't make no money, or scared money don't make no money is the phrase, and I'm sure Kelly's loving that. But also, new money gets wrecked money sometimes, and I think that's what we're seeing. A lot of people got into leverage trading when they really shouldn't have, and we're seeing the consequences of that. Those people that are staying in the space, they're going to do one of two things. Either one, they're going to leave the space, and that's not going to affect the space anymore, or two, they're going to learn and they're going to grow, and that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to educate and evangelize Bitcoin so that we can all grow together and so that the market will be inevitably more stable.
I want to go back real quick though, because I really did love getting to hear Smay talk. I love when Smay's on the show, despite sometimes it feels like the show pits me and Smay against each other.
It does.
That's the nature of our relationship. What I will say, there's a part of me in terms of the manipulation side in how the whales want to move things that believes 30,000 is very possible. Another number that I think should be kept in your eyes of keep an eye when the price, when the price hits this, is I know, Jebb, you love using the regular linear version of fib retracement, but if you use the log one, I went back and did some back analysis. There are times where the log version of fib is better. There are times when the linear version is better. What that tells me is actually traders tend to look at both of them. Some only look at one or the other, but they have key metrics. There are times where one is more relevant and the other one is more relevant. So in this case, I'm looking at both of them. First of all, on the log version, that 40,000, the reason we thought that was going to be the bottom was because that's right where 0.618 is. But if we go down to the 0.786, that's actually putting us down right below 35. I think you said 35.5 is the one on the, or is it 37.5? It's
33 on regular fib.
All right, so on the log version, it's like 34,600. So right below, about 400 below 35,000. That's another metric to watch. But again, I think there's a lot of spots that are curious between here and 30,000. And the reason why is because let's go back to that accumulation phase we had back in June and July. Do you guys remember how many people were calling 26,000? I don't know why, there was something special about that number, 26,000. I think, what's his name? Robert Kiyosaki? Kiyosaki, I think, said the number 26, and people just caught fire with that number. We're going to 26. We're going to 26. We're going to 26.
Well, it was the 0.618% fib.
Is that it? Okay, so
from 4 to 65.
Well, that number kept getting shouted, guys. This is where we're going down, and we never made it down there. The whales decided, no, let's pump before that. So in the same boat, I'm kind of sitting here saying I'm watching the market closely, and the number being called out, and the number I've heard a lot is 31, 32, 30, somewhere right in that region. I wouldn't be surprised. Not predicting this, but I just would not be surprised if the whales say, we want to get as much as possible without letting others in. The manipulators, let me be clear, not all whales are manipulators, but the manipulating whales will say, hey, let's go ahead and make this pump happen a little bit north of those numbers so that we can shake people out. And then before they actually get in on the most profitable part, we'll go ahead and send the market and they'll miss out.
Yep. Well, let's go ahead and throw it to Kelly, and we're going to look at some on-chain metrics and some headlines that are impacting this current market. Kelly, take it away, my friend.
Absolutely. And just before we hop right into that, I just wanted to point out one of the things you were trying to bring up here. And it's actually from this chart looks a bit crazy, but you saw when I was there at your house, Jebb, I was messing around doing a bunch of spider lines, basically trying to find old trend lines and stuff in all different regions to predict prices in both directions. And we're back literally bouncing directly off this trend line that comes from the market peak back here at 64 through these two peaks, and we're literally finding support right on it. And the price that you said, I couldn't agree more with. Basically, is right in this region here. This price region between 36 and 37.5. I very, very much think it would be a very strong support. But going directly into what I wanted to show in terms of on-chain metrics, here on my Twitter, you can see I've shared a couple of select things from Glassnode, but this is a number of spin outputs with a lifespan of 1 to 3 months. So this is essentially newer purchases, newer coins, and this is showing that few people are selling even at this level, which is, I mean, if that's not a bullish metric, I don't know what is. Another great chart here. This is the UTXOs, basically transactions lost. How many transactions are in loss, and what I'm basically showing here is when we have these peaks here. You see, and we're basically coming right at a new peak. It's basically proceeding right before large upward market movement. This here is the NVRV, which is basically a very incredible on-chain metric that basically helps determine whether you're really overheated in a bull market or underheated, if you will. And we're basically finding a low. And every time we find a low on the MVRV is right about when the market has very positive upside movement. And then the last thing I'm going to show here is from incredible on-chain and technical analyst, Tech Dev. Definitely follow him if you don't. But we're literally setting up this structure here with this. Essentially, it's almost like an Elliott wave sort of structure format for an uptrend continuation pattern. And essentially, people that are saying that we're in a bear market, you can see this doesn't designate a price number, but the only thing that is designated here with this dip, upward move, the second dip is higher than the first dip, and that this first dip in this sort of pattern would be this here would be essentially the May dump that came down to the $29,000 level. So hitting those targets that you mentioned before in the technical analysis, to 30, anywhere from honestly 35 to 37 is well above still that 29K level. So that's definitely still very bullish. This is an interesting metric I found from Ga on Twitter. And this basically is showing the Bitcoin price action as it relates to the estimated leverage ratio. And this position right here, this would be the dump down to 29K. This is essentially showing a dropping in estimated leverage ratio, which is very similar to right here, as you can see. And as this climbs up, it's literally as if it's setting up to get everybody flushed out with the short liquidations that go into basically setting up that full bullish spring. Now, in terms of headlines, and you covered this briefly, but we've had over $700 million in liquidations. And this is an optimistic thing in terms of when we're trying to figure out where we're at in terms of a downtrend and when that downtrend is going to come to a conclusion. It's when all of the basically the sentiment and the options and derivatives and perpetual swaps and all these sorts of things get exhausted, and the sell pressure can't overpower the buy pressure. And in this case, we're getting squashed a little lower, but the fact that the price is still holding well above that 29K level is absolutely a bullish indicator. This is an interesting article, and we're a little short on time. So this is basically just restating all the things that we were talking about in terms of the bullish on-chain metrics. And essentially the mining difficulty is still coming up to near all-time highs and pressing new all-time highs. And when miner difficulty is very high, it's showing a lot of different, basically a huge number of miners are competing for transactions, and miners only compete for transactions when it's profitable to mine, and it's only profitable to mine when basically it's a bullish setup. When the profits are going down, miners aren't making as much revenue, so miners start turning off their mining rigs. So this is miners showing that we're still in a bearish metric, and hash rate as well. Hash rate tends to drive price, or basically follow it or lead it very closely, and we're still pushing up to new all-time highs. And this article, I'll leave this for you guys here. You guys can go find this on Finbold. And this is basically talking about, it's actually incredibly bullish for the market to have these volatility swings and having the bottom not fall out from under us. It's showing a huge amount of not stability, but stability in sentiment about the relevance of this asset class, which is an incredibly long-term bullish metric. And the last thing that I'll share is the fact that one of the things, and I mentioned this earlier, one of the tweets I had about 3 or 4 days ago was that I very well could see the price going down to 38K, 37K level and springing from there. And I was calling for around the 25th, and people asked me why the 25th. Well, the 25th is when the FOMC, which is the federal federal open market committee, that's when they're meeting again. And in all reality, if you really think about it, what's happening right now with the market is incredible to precede this sort of meeting, because if the market across the board, traditional markets, Bitcoin, all these different asset classes are pushing to new all-time highs, and it's seeming like the market is as bullish as it can be, that would actually probably precipitate negative interest rates. I don't mean having actual negative interest rates, but interest rate hikes that would be negative to the relationship to market price action. And the fact that the market is dumping right now across all basically asset classes is actually an incredibly bullish setup for when they're going to have to determine what the interest rates are going to be on the 25th. Because if the market's like this, they're not going to want to hurt it further, or they're going to be much less likely to hurt it further. Yeah. So this very well, in terms of the fundamental premise, could be an incredible spring to get the entire market, from traditional to crypto markets across the board, that spring that we're looking for. Yeah. And so those are the things that I'm seeing, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts about how that's tying into what's going on right now, and what's going on with all this.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of traditional pressure coming into the market right now. We're looking at, as you said, the Federal Open Market Committee meeting about interest rates. We're looking at quantitative easing being tapered. We're looking at the fact that there is geopolitical uncertainty in Eastern Europe right now, which has already caused drops in traditional markets. We're seeing a correlation between traditional markets and crypto markets, and we're also seeing the rise of the new thing I can't say on YouTube, which has caused some fear in the market as well. So there's a lot of FUD in the market, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It is our job as a channel to evangelize Bitcoin and to make sure that you guys are not fearful, that you're not uncertain, and that you're not doubting unless you have a very good reason to be. And that's what we're trying to do. By the way, guys, we're about to read a bunch of our super chats. We've had so many. Thank you guys so much. But I do just first want to bring you a word from our sponsor, I Trust Capital. If you guys don't know what I Trust Capital is, it is a company that allows you to invest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies through your IRA, your retirement account. If you don't know why that's important, let me break it down for you. A retirement account is an investment vehicle that allows you to invest pre-tax money that you can then not have to worry about all of the same tax reporting requirements that you would have to worry about whenever you're investing in a regular account, because you're able to defer those taxes to a later date when you may be, one, in a lower tax bracket, and two, after you've already made all of your gains. So if you have a retirement account, an IRA, and if you would like to invest in Bitcoin with it, I Trust Capital is the leader in the industry, allowing you to invest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies with your IRA. A lot of tax advantages there, guys. I remember about 4 years ago when I learned about what IRAs were, I said the first company that comes around and builds a very good product around investing in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies with IRAs is going to do very well, and their customers are going to be very happy. The customers of I Trust Capital, there's over 100,000 of them, are extremely happy. If you guys want to invest in Bitcoin with a tax advantage so that you're able to make even more money, and by the way, have incentive to hold because there are tax penalties for pulling out of a retirement account early, I Trust Capital is the place for you. You can find all of the links for that down below. I do encourage you to speak to a CPA and a financial advisor. I am not your financial advisor, so that you can learn more about what IRAs are and the tax advantages that you may be able to achieve by investing with a retirement account. With that said, we're going to go ahead and move on to reading some of our super chats. We have a bunch of them.
We have a good amount.
Let's do it.
I had them separated into statements and just wanting to encourage you guys. So we'll go through those pretty quickly, but I want to call them out. And then we have some questions. But first, we do have a new Jebbi youngling, James Ellington.
James Ellington.
James, thank you so much for joining the team. We look forward to getting to shout your name out on stream. But statements just to kind of encourage people. Tom Wilkes donated saying 5,800 pretty smart people at the North American Bitcoin Conference never talked about price. Jebb doesn't have a crystal ball. Crypto is about more than taking short-term profits. Let's not try to boil the ocean in one day.
Absolutely. Can you read the first two sentences of that again real quick?
5,800 pretty smart people at the North American Bitcoin Conference never talked about price. Jebb doesn't have a crystal ball. Crypto is about more than taking short-term profits.
That is such a good super chat. That is incredible.
Elliot Locke said, buy opportunity, buy opportunity. Miss you guys this week. Work sucks. Going to binge my new CT2A.
There you go.
Boom.
Shout out to CT2A and all of our alumni there.
Abdi Ismail said, I'm down 15,000 and was upset. Then I thought about how some of these whales are down millions and are probably not even worried.
That's such a good point.
Yep.
That is such a good point.
Cryptosaurus Rex said, fear is in the air. It smells so sweet in the nostrils of our wallets. Big thanks to the CJ crew, Crypto Jebb crew, for keeping the crypto community grounded and focused on the macro when it is hitting the fan.
Oh, thank you so much.
And then the last one here, I want to give advice. One Voice 92 said, take it from someone who got scared away in 2017. Don't freak out. I'm finally committed this last year, and I finally see a future.
I love it, man. We're getting some great super chats, some great positivity in chat. I love it, man.
FinSolve.
Hashtag FinSolve.
Yeah.
Let's see some hashtag FinSolves in chat. And if anybody needs to know what it is, some people in chat can explain what we're talking about there.
Now, to the questions we have here. Murray Ruggiero says, starting to get people talking about Bitcoin is going to zero talk again. Doesn't this normally call for a bottom?
Yeah, it normally means that you're getting close.
It's another
That's absolutely
Bitcoin
right.
has died once again.
Bitcoin has died like 500 times. It's really actually very funny.
John Lightfoot, this is a good, honest question. And he started by saying honest question, but I like this question. He said honest question: is TA still relevant with all this manipulation?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I would say absolutely, and the reason is because technical analysis is the analysis of something called price. Price is the information vehicle that that brings together, I can't think of the word. It brings together everything in the market. So you have news, you have on-chain, you have buys, sells, whales, all of this. You can't lie with the price. Everything affects the price because the price shows you what the traders believe. The entire point of reading markets and trying to predict what markets are going to do is understanding what the markets are going to do by understanding what impacts the markets. The traders impact the markets. What impact the traders? The news and the on-chain. That's how this all ties together. Technical analysis is the analysis of price action. Price action is the super highway of information in a market. All of the information in a market gets combined into the price. So if you're analyzing the price, yeah, it's going to take in the on-chain, the market manipulation is going to take in the news, it's going to take in the sentiment, it's going to take in everything, including the market manipulation. So market manipulation in no way, shape, or form invalidates technical analysis. It simply is another factor that you have to keep in mind.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking about the other day in the sports world. Have any of you guys seen the movie Moneyball? Moneyball is like, it's all about when baseball, I'm not a big baseball fan, but when baseball teams started analyzing metrics and numbers to pick their players. Guess what? Every single team in the MLB right now uses those metrics. But it was a huge thing that people were like, that's so dumb, that's fake, it doesn't work. Is it perfect? No. That team did it. They didn't win the championship the first year. It took a couple years before they won it, but it boosted them tremendously in the rankings. And why, Tim, why are we talking about sports right now? And I don't know why you don't like that. It's the same thing with technical analysis. If you think learning technical analysis will be the end-all, be-all, and you'll be 100% perfect in everything you ever do, that's not true. But the point is that unless you have time to study and to go invest and to go interview every single person that ever buys a stock or anything, technical analysis is your best shot at making the best calls possible. That's why it's still relevant and why you need to use it.
Thank you so much, Ben Newman. Amalgamation is the word you're looking for. That's absolutely right. Sorry, Kelly, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to make one comment too about a comment that I saw, in, actually several comments repeating the same sort of thought or question in chat earlier, and that was in regards to, you brought up earlier the graphic showing the direct correlation between traditional markets and Bitcoin, and people say, isn't Bitcoin supposed to be a hedge against this? Isn't it supposed to be a hedge against inflation? Isn't it supposed to be a hedge against the traditional markets? Well, the answer here is that absolutely, and I think it will become that. But part of the process in all this is allowing the underlying psychology of people and how they're relating their investments and their assets when they're committing them to the crypto market, especially big investments, big smart money. They're still looking at this with, like, for instance, if tech stocks are dropping, they're also starting to become a little more adverse or pulling out or cautionary on Bitcoin, because that's only because the sentiment and understanding of this asset class hasn't fully taken full effect yet. And over the period of time, as people become more comfortable and understand this, and that the metrics of Bitcoin specifically outweigh all the metrics you could combine in any other asset class or any other niche market in the world, when people start realizing that, and it will take some time to do so, we will start to see that decoupling from traditional markets, as we all hope would happen sooner, but will take time.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. We just got to remember, we're still in a young market. It's a very, very, very young market. So young.
We got a couple more super chats, trying to get through them. JB said, Jebb, I have been DCAing into Bitcoin since April of 2021 and now have 0.25 Bitcoin. However, I'm now well below my contribution level. Should I sit on my hands?
You are in the perfect place for dollar cost averaging, because if you're I love this question so much, actually. And the reason I love this question so much is because if you were well below your average entry price, the whole phrase dollar cost averaging, the point of it is to bring your average cost of your dollar entry down, right? So if your average entry is at $50,000, let's say you have $100,000 and your average entry is at $50,000. So you have 2 Bitcoin. If you buy one more Bitcoin, actually, let's just say you buy 2 more Bitcoin down at $40,000, then you split the difference and your average entry price just became $45,000. That makes sense? Because it brings your average entry price down. So we're not in a bear market, but we are in a major downtrend. Dollar cost averaging is actually much more effective in a bear market or a downtrend than it is in a bull market. Because if you're buying every Friday and it's going down, then you're dragging your average entry price down. If, on the other hand, you're in a bull market or in a major uptrend in your dollar cost averaging, your average entry price is going up. So you actually want to be, dollar cost averaging is actually the most effective in a downtrend or in a bear market. I would rather somebody, if somebody's only going to do it in one market, I would rather somebody dollar cost average in a bear market than a bull market. So no, absolutely not. That now is the time to be dollar cost averaging. I love that question so much.
Ethan Phillips said, what are your guys' opinions on what it would take to start a rally if everyone is already scared of the interest rates rising?
It's going to take, it's going to take acceptance. It's going to take people accepting, okay, there's a drop going on, and letting go. And just saying, all right, look, whatever happens, happens. I'm just going to hodl. That is what I think it's going to take. That's what it always takes. And we're going to end up seeing that happen eventually. People are going to end up saying, okay, fine, I won't sell. I've already sold. You know, the thing is, when you go lower on the price level, eventually you knock out everybody who's ever going to get out. Eventually, you knock all the people out that are going to get scared out of their money, out of it, and then you're left with just people that say, "No, I'm not selling. Never. I will never sell." And then by the way, once you get low enough, then this happens. There's not as many people that can sell, so you see less selling pressure. And then as it goes lower, you see more and more people wanting to buy, and the buying pressure goes up. And eventually, you pass at a critical mass, and then you have a rally. And that's how it starts. And we have not seen that happen yet, but we're going to see it happen soon, I do believe, based on the fact of the fundamentals. Because people invest, not trade, people invest based off of fundamentals. And there is quite a lot of investment going on right now.
You know, I was thinking about it earlier today. Rebellions throughout history happen when the people who are being manipulated and controlled and hurt realize, hey, wait a minute, we outnumber the people that are controlling us.
Yeah, for real.
And they say, you know what, even if it takes my life, I'm going to fight because I know that our side can outlast their side. Throughout the financial world, at least for the last 70 years, being is that we came off the gold standard, the minority understands that due to their position of control, they can control the majority. And unfortunately, there's been no good weapon or tool to fight back. Bitcoin is that tool, but here's the problem. Now the majority has the weapon to stop the manipulation and control of the minority, or of that minority, but they're a little too afraid to use it. When people realize, hold on a second, if I just sit here and hold, they can't take this away from me. If we all, as retail investors, if we all in the majority say, you know what, I'm not going to be scared. I'm not going to fall for these tactics. I'm not going to fall for this fear mongering. I'm going to take back control of my financial sovereignty. When all of us stand up, that's how a revolution starts. Crypto is going to have a revolution. The question isn't if, the question is when. Why not now? Why not now start the revolution of taking back control over our personal finances and stop letting the big dogs, who are really the minority, just control every move we ever make?
Love it.
That's we have one more super chat. I think it got cut off, so I'm gonna read what I see here, but I'm gonna assume it ends with yesterday, but it just says yes. Retrace and Go said Bitcoin is not digital gold yet. Gold crept up, and I think he said yesterday, but again, it got cut off in the way I'm reading it. So
yeah, no, I mean, there's Bitcoin is a very immature market. It's worth $1 trillion, or Bitcoin's worth $800 billion right now, or whatever. It's 728 billion exactly. But it's still a very immature market. It will be worth $10 trillion one day, so long as it remains the #1 cryptocurrency, which I do think it will. And we have not matured yet. Gold's been around for 6,000 years. We actually made a video on why Bitcoin is the new gold. Go back and watch Why Bitcoin Episode 1, Why Bitcoin is the New Gold. By the way, that entire series is incredible. I'm bragging on T-Shroom and Smay, who have done most of the work on it. Episode 4 is coming out today. Bitcoin will become the new gold, but it's not there yet. I agree. Now, guys, we're going to wrap out the stream here in just a second, but I just want to finish by explaining to you what this channel is all about and explaining to you why this channel was created. I created this channel November 16th of 2017, and the reason I did it was because I saw an opportunity for good. I saw an opportunity to take care of myself and my family and my community with the opportunities that were here in cryptocurrency. And I was able to do that. I was able to provide things for my family and things for my community that I wasn't able to before because of the situation that I grew up in. I was able to help people that before I didn't have the resources to help. I was able to help myself with things that I before that did not understand how to help myself with. I'm talking finance, I'm talking mental health, I'm talking mindset, a lot of things, not just money, but skill sets and connections and partnerships. And I was able to help myself, and I was able to help my family, and I was able to help my community. After I was able to do that, I went on and I wanted to grow this channel because, and this was from day one as well, but then the mission really started to shift around 6 months into the channel's history when we had about 5,000 subscribers to, I just want to teach people because I was able to make this impact in my own life and in my family and community's life. And then I saw, wait a minute, all these people poured into me. All these entrepreneurial channels poured into me. They gave me so much information for free on YouTube that completely revolutionized my life, and I wanted to do the same thing. Let me be very clear. I did not start this channel to get a fancy car. I did not start this channel to get a fancy house. I did not start this channel to be famous. I did not start this channel for any of those reasons. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. I'm not judging anybody who wants a nice car. I like nice things myself, but that's not why this channel exists. This channel exists from the bottom of my heart. You can ask anybody who has watched this channel for a long time. This has always been my stance. I started this channel and I continue to grow this channel not to enrich myself, but to help my team of 16 people that work on this show, to help you guys who watch this every single day, and to serve you guys so that you can achieve financial sovereignty. What is that? Financial sovereignty is having control over your money rather than your money having control over you. And listen to this, this is important. This is the whole theme of the show. When the markets freak you out, when your portfolio freaks you out, tempts you to sell, and leads you to anxiety so you can't sleep at night, your finances are in control of you. You see how that works? Your finances are in control of you. We don't want your finances to be in control of you. Your finances are supposed to serve you. You're supposed to have sovereignty over your finances. You are supposed to not be the servant of your finances. You're supposed to be the master of your finances. You're not supposed to be scared of your money. You're not supposed to be fearful that you're not going to be able to provide for your family when your dad's in the hospital, or when your kid wants to go to college, or when you want to donate to a ministry that helps kids, or mentor kids, or takes care of kids that are being trafficked or something. When you have a passion, a calling on your heart, and you want to be able to financially provide for that, I want you to be able to do that. That's what we're about. Now, if you want to go out and get a Ferrari 488, or you want to go out and get a Lamborghini Aventador S, or you want to go out and get, a Gulfstream 650, I know all the fancy toys. I get it. There's nothing wrong with that at all. You get that if that's what you want. Just remember that the point of this channel is to help those people that can't help themselves, and to guide those people that need the guidance the same way that I did. I want you to have control over your finances because I truly believe that you're going to find fulfillment in life, not from material objects, but from living the purpose-driven life that God has called you to. That is why you need financial sovereignty, because you have to be able to fund that life. That's what this channel is about. I just want to be very clear on that. So if you're new to the channel and that message resonates with you, subscribe to the channel, because I do believe that we're the #1 technical analysis show on YouTube for cryptocurrencies, and I genuinely care very, very deeply about you. And I had such a great time at the North American Bitcoin Conference because I got to meet each one of you. I met like 250 of you guys. I met a father and son named Raymond. Both of them are named Raymond. I met a woman named Chris. I met a guy named Guy. I met a dude named George, not Cryptos R Us, another subscriber named George. I met a guy named Dan who was a magician and showed me all kinds of stuff. I met so many people. In fact, I think Dan did a super chat. I care about you guys, and I care about you deeply. I care about you so much that there are so many times that I have forfeited things that I wanted off camera, and I don't talk about it that much because I don't want to go out and brag. That's not what I'm trying to do. But there are plenty of times where I've said, you know what, I'm not going to get this thing for myself. I'm not going to do this trip. I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z because that would not be in service to you guys. I care about you. I really do. I love you. I want you to succeed. That is my heart. That is the heart of our team. If that message resonates with you, subscribe to the channel and follow us on our social media at CryptoJebb. We're all over the place. That's all we got for you today. Tim, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap it out?
That's it. I just echo everything he just said. That is the heart of this team. And if you come in, I promise you, come in every single day, you'll never see us go against what he just said.
Amen to that. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button. If you disliked the video, dislike it twice so we know you really hated the video. Before I go, though, guys, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.